Hey, it's Jason with J. Allen Photography, and welcome back to the podcast, Talk Time with J. Allen Photography. This is episode 4. And episode 4, what I'd really like to talk about is what do you do when you're slow? Like, like a slow period. Not slow. I'm slow, but a slow period for your photography business, right? So, I've mentioned it before. I'm a senior photographer, and I do have slow periods throughout the year that kind of, it's an ebb and flow, right? And so sometimes it's like bam, 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 and you're just constantly going and you don't have time. But then there's times, for me, January is a real slow period. And so, photographers, what do you do or what can you do to limit, maybe not eliminate, but limit those down periods or those slow periods? And how do you make it better for you? Now, it doesn't always equate to. I'm not necessarily meaning bring in more money in those slow periods, but how do you stay busy in those slow periods? If it's making money, fantastic. But if it's not, what can you do to incorporate things to help you continue to grow and not get stagnant? Because stagnation, that's not what you want. And so you need to keep moving. And so what do you do during those slow periods? So the other day I was watching YouTube and I saw this Peter McKinnon video, and I think it was the first video that he did for 2024, and the title of the video was "I'm Back." And so he doesn't do a lot of photography that fully interests me, but his videos are very inspiring to me, very motivational to me. And so that's why I watch a lot of his work. And he's a fantastic visual storyteller. I love his style. And so I just was watching it, and it was interesting what he was talking about. He was talking about a photo that he had published back in 2013, and it was the first video that he had published. And he kind of had all these expectations of what life was going to be like after it was published. Like everybody was going to come to him for all this work. And he said none of that happened. He said it didn't change his trajectory in life at all. It got published, and he made like $300 from that published photo. And so he said, people aren't just going to come to your door because you have some talent. There's other people that are just as talented, if not more, maybe even less. And they might get that work too, but they're not just going to come to you because you have talent. You've got to get out there and do this. But again, when you have slow periods, what are you doing to go out and show who you are? When there's nothing going on, are you just sitting there waiting for people to come to you? And I don't want to be that photographer. I don't want to just sit there knowing that I'm not going to get a lot of paid work in January, so I'm going to sit there till February until my senior season starts to pick up, and then I can get busy again. No, I want to stay busy, whether it's making money or not. I want to stay busy and stay creative. And so that's really what this is about. So South Texas, my busy period as a senior photographer really is spring to, well, let's say February to May, the end of May. And then the fall season is very busy for me. In some other states, I know like in Colorado, I've got a friend, and his busy senior period is more the summer of their senior year, because they don't know if they're going to actually have decent weather in the spring, in Colorado, but they're going to have decent weather in August and September. And so their busy period is different than my busy period. But that also means that, like my summer, there's some summer months that are really slow. August is pretty slow. September is pretty slow. January is fairly slow. February starts to pick up, but somewhere in the middle to near the end. And so there are these slow periods. I'm not a wedding photographer. I'm not an event photographer. I don't actually do a lot of family photography either. So I have to figure out, okay, I know that I've got these months here that are slow, these months here that I'm just slammed and I don't have extra time for anything. What can I do, though, to kind of not necessarily level it out, but bring up these slow months, because I want to actually still do some work. I still want to shoot. I still want to create. I don't want to do that during the summertime, though. So I need to figure out some better ways to do it. Nobody wants to, like swamp butt. I'll say it nicely. Swamp butt is nasty. When you go out and do a photo shoot, you're out there for an hour, you come back and you're just soaked all the way through. It's like the worst. But there's got to be ways that you don't. Maybe you can still shoot in the summertime, but how can you shoot in the summertime and not get like that, right? So please let me know. If you're listening, what do you do? Do you know when your slow periods are? Do you know, or do you have a plan for those slow periods? Are there things that you offer in those slow times to kind of keep you still busy, keep you working? Please let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know kind of what it is that you do. It might help me. It might help other people that are listening and watching. So please let me know. But the truth is we all have slow periods. Even like wedding photographers, they don't have. It's not year round for them. Here again in South Texas, those middle summer months, it's brutally hot. But it's like October and November that wedding season really starts to pick back up because it's just not so hot. People don't want to get married where they're just sweating the whole time in their whole thing, right? So they want to get married in nice weather, and so that's where you're going to have these slow periods. I'm not talking about, sometimes what you'll hear is people say, well, take these landscape photos and put them up on stock imagery sites and bring in extra money that way. I'm not talking about that because you're not actually doing anything. You're not being busy. I'm not talking about bringing in extra money. I'm talking about staying busy during periods that it's slow. And so something that I've actually done, and it's so again, I'm a senior photographer, right? So I have rep programs. I've mentioned it before. Well, I have teen modeling programs. And so the teen modeling program, basically what that does is that I work with underclassmen in a modeling reference to just kind of like a senior ambassador, to where they do multiple shoots and group shoots and stuff like that. And they get to share out some images. Well, I do the same thing with teens because I found that if I can work with teens over the course of freshman, sophomore, and junior year, well, then they actually are passing my name amongst all of their friends over the course of those years. And so it helps me build a bigger brand name into the high schools as far as senior portraits go. And so one thing that I need to actually do is, how do I meet those people, right? Well, I don't have any kids in school. My daughter is 22. So I'm a guy. Most of my clients are young women. So how can I meet these people and it not be weird, And that's a truthful thing. I'm being very truthful there. I work with a lot of dancers. Most of the reps that I actually do have are also dancers. So something that I've actually started doing is I do a lot of work with several different high school dance teams. Well, if you know anything about dance teams, you also got, or anything about high school, I guess, you've got pep squads. Something that I started doing is a meet and greet with the pep squads. So in January, I know it's cold, but I've actually got 3 meet and greets scheduled with 3 different pep squads. Now, not their whole pep squad doesn't show up, but like last week, I had 20 people show up. So I did this last year also, and I only met with 1 pep squad. The main high school that I work with, I met with that pep squad, and I think it was 15 to 20 people maybe showed up. But I picked up 3 modeling reps from that meet and greet. I didn't charge for the meet and greet. I'm not telling you to do for free. I'm telling you what I do. So I met these people, but what this meet and greet does is I offer them a couple photos edited, but it's really a great networking device for me to meet them with their parents and explain to them a little bit about who I am in my modeling programs. And so they will get to see who I am over the course of an hour and a half, whatever it is that we decide to shoot. And they just get a little bit of, who is this Jay Allen photography? Because I see that he does a lot of work with some of the varsity people. Now I see who he is. And so this is something that I've really started to embrace. I've done it now for the same high school 2 years in a row, and I want to continue to do that. Most of your pep squads are going to be your underclassmen. Sometimes pep squads will have older students, but for the most part, they're the underclassmen. And so again, if I can actually work with some of these underclassmen in multiple schools, that's going to grow Jay Allen photography business over the course of several years. And so that's one big thing that I've really started doing in my slow period of January. So January and February, I'm super slow. But by doing these 3 meet and greets, my hope is next year I can get 4. Is it spinning wheels? It is spinning wheels, but it's also, again, a wonderful networking device. I already work with a lot of seniors from these schools, so being able to work with some of the underclassmen has just, at least in this last year, has really kind of opened my eyes to grow my business. And so that's something that I've really started offering. A lot of people offer mini sessions, and that's kind of maybe what this is. But then not necessarily, because like I said, for these meet and greets, I'm not charging. I want these people to come and meet me and know who I am without me saying, hey, give me some more money. Because I don't need the money. Would I love to have them pay? Sure, but my goal is more long-term. I want to work with several of these from multiple schools that are paying me, a monthly or quarterly as a rep, as opposed to just a one and done session, and then I don't ever meet or work with any of their other people, right? So this is a big networking thing for me, and at least for me, it works. But I have mentioned also that I work with dancers. Dancer schedules are extremely, extremely tight, especially, high school age. They've got competitions, and but all the ages, they have competitions. But spring is a big time for their competitions. The problem is if they're high school and they're on their dance team, they're probably dancing during football season. And so it's very difficult to schedule anything with dancers throughout the year. So something that I've actually started doing, and this is more in like the early February part, because they're kind of gearing up for competition season at this point. Basically the end of football season, which is like for them November-ish, they start doing competitions, state and national level. And so something that I started to do to kind of give myself a little bit more, of that in those downtimes is like maybe the first week of December or the second week of November, the first week in February, is I offer dance mini sessions. Now, unfortunately, the weather is really kind of up and down, back and forth, whatever you want to call it. It's probably too cold to do dance sessions outside at that time of year. Not necessarily in November, but in February it is. So I've actually found a couple studios that I really like working with. Now, I do have to pay to rent those studios, but these dance sessions are sessions that I will actually charge. And so because it's a mini, I can actually block the studio for a couple of hours and charge people, basically build in the cost to replenish my cost for renting the studio, but then a little bit extra so that I'm getting more. What that does is it allows me to kind of create business where there wasn't any business. People have their mini sessions, in the fall and, maybe the spring. It's no different than really what I'm doing as far as a dance mini session. It's the same concept. You're blocking a window of time and you're trying to get multiple people to come in. But this is a way for me to generate some business, some money when it's a slow period. And it works. It's fun too. You get to meet probably some dancers that you don't typically work with. So that's always interesting. Again, to me, I'm looking at the meet and greet and the mini session as networking devices for me. That's really what I'm looking at. And I guess that's kind of what I'm saying is in these slow periods, these are just 2 devices that I've used or that I've learned maybe to kind of keep me from being stagnant. And they allow me to still be creative, maybe make some money, but definitely network the business to ultimately grow the business. And that's really what it's about, right? Is growing the business and getting your name out to a larger group of people. By working with the pep squads, a lot of them go on to their dance teams. Some of them go on to cheerlead. Some of them go on to band. And that's kind of, the pep squad is that staging ground for them where they branch out after that, and they move on to bigger and better type deals. And so a lot of the people that I typically end up working with are more on the dance side, but they still know who I am. And so that to me is really the important aspect of this. So when I'm slow, I'm always looking to figure out a way to network to get my name to more people. Being a guy working with high school students, I need to make sure that my reputation, my name is above board. And I can't think of a better way to do that than inviting parents to be out there at these sessions so they can actually get to meet me. And really the meet and greet isn't me meeting the student. The meet and greet is me meeting the parents so that the parents know, oh, this is Jay Allen Photography. I've heard of this guy. I kind of give all the parents a little bit of a spill of what my program is, what I'm about. I give them a little bit of a quick background on me. Hey, I'm, from San Antonio, joined the military, retired from the military, moved back. I've been married 27 years. I've got a 22-year-old daughter, that type of thing. Just to let the parents kind of know a little bit more about me. So this is all a networking opportunity. And it lets them know, maybe not just for their student, but maybe they're looking for a family photographer, or maybe they're looking for, Kinsey photographer or something like that. So this networking device is something that I've actually been able to use to kind of grow a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. And so really that's the whole purpose of this podcast this episode is, what do you do when you're slow? Yeah, I would love to hear your concepts, or what are some of the devices that you do when you're slow, when you know that you've got some periods. Hey, I need to be, I still want to be creative. How do I do this? Something else that I do when I know that I can't actually do a meet and greet, or I can't do many sessions is I do some collabs with models. That allows me to kind of just be a little bit more creative, because they're a little bit more creative than working with teenagers and high school seniors. So that's kind of another outlet for me. But these first two are really more in line with growing my business, whereas a collab with a model is not really growing my business. It's just for fun, right? And it's just for creativity. But for growing the business when it's slow, these are a couple things. And I don't know if they can help you, but maybe kind of some of the idea behind it can help you. And I really do hope that you're able to take some of the information that I gave you and put it into your workflow. So again, we're still kind of in the new year, right? So give thought to the slow periods. What are you going to do? How can you continue to grow? How can you not get stagnant? Think about that. Maybe put that as part of your goals, like last episode, right? Have those goals set in mind for what you're going to do, how you're going to continue to be creative, how you're not going to get stagnant. Maybe you get caught up. There's a whole lot that you can do, but don't let that slow down get you stalled, right? Stalled. It's easy to go from real busy to slow, but I think it's even easier to go from slow into stopped. And so I've been there. Don't get like that. Don't stagnate. Keep moving. Keep having that action. Stay motivated to do what you're doing. Thanks again for taking your time to listen. I know the voice, the sinuses, it's everything. It's like dragging me down. But thanks for listening. I really do appreciate it. Please keep coming back. Please keep checking out the YouTube channel for videos. If you're following me on Instagram, or if you're not following me yet on Instagram, it's j.allen_photographer and j.allen_dance photography for my dance work. So please give me a follow there if you haven't already. Please like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Share out those videos if you like them. I've got some cool stuff. I've got an aperture light that they sent me, and so I'll be doing an open box and probably doing a review on that here pretty soon. Really awesome thing that they sent me, that light. It's pretty cool. So thank you again for watching, listening. I really do appreciate it. Podcasts will be released on Tuesdays, new videos on Wednesdays. And until next week, next time, keep shooting.